Just a few weeks ago, I did a video on the top 10 best exotic weapons to buy from the Monument to Lost Light for all solo players. This video did really well and I got some very positive feedback from this video, so in today's video, I'm going to be doing the top 10 best legendary weapons to buy from the Monument to Lost Light. Very similar to the exotic weapons, the Monument to Lost Light vendor also sells legacy legendary weapons that are very easy to get. All these weapons really cost is just some glimmer, and that is very easy to obtain. Now I will admit and just put a disclaimer at the start of this video, if you're a veteran player and you're looking for some weapons to get, these weapons aren't the best weapons in the game. All of these weapons are in the legacy section, and these are just easy to get weapons that will do the job until you can get some of the best endgame tier weapons. So that's just a quick disclaimer. These aren't the best weapons in the game, and they are easily replaced by other weapons that are, somewhat reasonable to get. But if you're a solo player or you're new to the game, this is the perfect video for you, as these weapons are very good for what they are worth, and they are very easy to get and get you going in your Destiny 2 career. Starting off with number 1 and arguably probably the best legacy legendary weapon in this category, we have the Salvage Salvo. Now if you don't know what the Salvage Salvo is, this is basically just an arc grenade launcher that has two of the best perks that a grenade launcher can get on it. One of the most sought after grenade launchers in the game is the Forbearance because of its two perks, Ambitious Assassin and Chain Reaction, and also the fact that it is a waveframe grenade launcher. But those two perks are what make the gun incredible. And of course the Salvage Salvo does have those two perks on it, and it is also arc. The only difference between these two guns is that the Salvage Salvo is a lightweight frame, where the Forbearance is a wave frame, making it a little bit easier to kill enemies. Either way, the Salvage Salvo is on par with the Forbearance, but the Forbearance can be very hard to get considering it comes from a raid, and you're going to need 5 red borders to be able to craft it, or you're going to get extremely lucky and get that gold roll. Whereas the Salvage Salvo, all you have to do is head to the tower and just buy it. If you don't know what these two perks do on a grenade launcher, Ambitious Assassin, basically getting a kill with this one will overflow the magazine on the next reload, giving you 2 bullets in 1 magazine. Chain Reaction, every time you kill anything with it, will cause a massive elemental damage explosion, and these two perks work extremely well together. Anyway, enough about this gun. Moving on to number 2, we have the 21% Delirium. Now this is a rapid fire arc machine gun with 2 of the best perks that any machine gun can get in the game, Overflow and Killing Tally. This makes this thing an absolute monster. Overflow is going to overflow that magazine above capacity whenever you get special or heavy weapon ammo, and then Killing Tally is going to stack up to 3 times, granting you a 30% damage boost, which is incredible for any machine gun. For a machine gun that you can just go and buy right now for 75,000 glimmer, this thing is a monster until you can get some of those best endgame machine guns in the game. Next on the list, we have the Oxygen SR3, which is a legendary scout rifle. Now usually scout rifles in the game aren't very decent because other guns are just better, basically. However, there are certain situations where a scout rifle can be quite useful, and in particular some of those activities can be harder tier nightfalls, where you don't want to get too close and you want to stay at range, and the Oxygen SR3 is a very valid option for any of these activities. This gun has a very unique trait called Mega Neura, which basically allows Dragonfly to do more damage based on the number of precision hits before you kill that enemy and the Dragonfly procs. So the other perk on this gun is obviously Dragonfly, and the more precision hits that you get on an enemy before you kill them and make them explode, it's going to make that Dragonfly do even more damage, making this one of the most unique guns in the entire game. Now obviously there are some other better scout rifles in the game, but these two perks combined can be actually really fun to play with and quite useful. Moving over into number 4, we have the Edgewise, which is another solar machine gun. Now I've picked this machine gun again because it is different to the 21% Delirium, as this one is solar and the Delirium is arc. So depending on what activity you're using or what subclass you're using, you could use either machine gun based on the solar or arc effects. The Edgewise is a pretty decent machine gun, running 4 different perks to choose from. In my opinion, I would be running Feeding Frenzy and Demolitionist. This just makes this one an absolute monster at clearing up ads, reloading fast, and then getting your grenade back from Demolitionist extremely quick. There's not too much to say here about the Edgewise. Machine guns are machine guns, and they are very, very useful in almost every activity in the game, and there's no harm in having more than you need. Moving on to number 5, we have the Null Composure, which is a Void Fusion Rifle, and this is still one of my most favourite weapons in the game to use. As you may or may not know, there aren't a whole lot of Void Fusion Rifles in the game that have decent perks on them to use in any endgame activities, but the Null Composure is still one weapon here that is great and a Void Fusion Rifle. Like a lot of the guns in this video, they will all usually have about 4 perks to pick from, considering they are mainly old ritual weapons. For the Null Composure, Feeding Frenzy and Reservoir Burst work extremely well together. Basically, Feeding Frenzy is going to make you reload quicker after you get a kill, and Reservoir Burst is going to deal extra damage and make that enemy explode when the charge battery is full. So the best way to use this gun is shoot one burst, get a kill, reload, and then proc Reservoir Burst. That's pretty much how you want to use this gun. Shoot a bullet, reload. Shoot a bullet, reload, and these two perks together work extremely well, and you'll find yourself dealing massive damage to enemies. Now the next weapon on the list is a little bit of a weird one, but I've picked the Recluse. Now I know there is a new version of the Recluse through the Into the Light activity where you can focus a new one with brand new perks. However, the old Recluse is still just as good as some of the new Recluses, considering it has 2 of the best perks that can roll on this gun. Feeding Frenzy and Master of Arms are very good perks for a submachine gun. Now there are quite a few players here that didn't actually get to play during this activity, and they probably wouldn't have had time, or they just didn't get a new Recluse. So this is just a friendly reminder that if you want one, you can still go and get one through the Legacy tab in the Monument to Lost Light. Moving over into number 7, I have picked the Cry Mutiny. Now I haven't chosen the Cry Mutiny Heavy Grenade Launcher to deal damage to bosses, as there are plenty other grenade launchers in the game that can do that role much better. The Cry Mutiny is specifically just an ad clearing grenade launcher, and it is especially effective at doing this. With its 2 perks, Incandescent and Swashbuckler, this weapon is actually really effective at killing ads in big groups. Incandescent is obviously incandescent. Everyone knows how this works. It is very useful, especially on any gun. Swashbuckler, on the other hand, basically will increase the damage from getting kills with this weapon or getting melee kills with this weapon out, and either way, it just boosts the damage, making this gun extremely useful for clearing out ad packs. A lot of the grenade launchers in the game these days are fit for dealing massive spike damage to bosses, and there aren't many grenade launchers left that will just deal with ads, and the Cry Mutiny does this effectively very well. Coming up to closing this list off here, in at number 8 I have the Velis X, which is a Void Hake pulse rifle, which is actually really useful and quite fun to use. Now I've chosen this gun specifically because again there aren't many Void pulse rifles in the game that you can use in that harder high-end activities. This weapon has some great perks being Repulsor Brace and Golden Tricorn. These 2 perks will work extremely well with any Void build that you can put together. Golden Tricorn can stack up to 50% damage increase inside of PvE, which is massive, especially for a pulse rifle, and obviously Repulsor Brace is just going to give you Void Overshields during the battle. This is just overall a great solid gun to use, and if you haven't got one, I would definitely go and pull it and try it here and there. Now the last 2 on this list I sort of had to fill in, as there aren't too many legacy guns from the tab that are actually quite decent, but unfortunately these 2 weapons will do for now if you are looking for something to fill those specific slots. In at number 9, we have the Malediction, which is a kinetic hand cannon. Now, I know kinetic hand cannons aren't really one of the best guns in the game, and they're pretty much useless considering they don't have, an element to them as they are kinetic, but the Malediction is still half decent. With the perk Enlightened Action and Explosive Payload, this weapon can work very well together. With its aggressive frame and 92 impact, you can pretty much one-shot pretty much every red bar enemy in the entire game with a simple headshot. Obviously, there are much better kinetic hand cannons in the game that would take king over this gun, but if you're looking for that playstyle and you want a kinetic hand cannon, the Malediction is still decent until you can get something better. And coming in at number 10 to wrap this list up, I've picked the Python, which is a Void shotgun. Now again, this is yet another very unique gun because it has a one-of-a-kind perk on it. This perk is Shield Disorient. Basically, if you break an enemy's combatant with Void, as this is a Void weapon, it's actually going to disorientate them and nearby combatants. Now, after using this gun for quite a few strikes now, this gun is actually pretty fun to use. That mini disorientate effect is actually quite useful, and if you're a skilled player, you can use this to your advantage. But anyway, Guardians, that will wrap the video up there. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, feel free to drop a like, subscribe, comment down below, and all that other fun stuff. Let me know in the comments what your favorite legacy weapon is, and I'll try it out. But again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Later.